go to Mr. Yagi Vasudev, who's founder of the Isha Foundation, but you're also counting amongst the 50 most influential persons in India. Tell us more about your foundation activities and what made it a success.
Good afternoon, everyone. Philanthropy as an idea is kind of its time. There was a time when the royalty gathered or amassed a huge amount of wealth, and then they gave that largesse to people once in a way as philanthropy, that later became feudalistic lords gathering a huge amount of wealth and distributing it. That same feudalistic trends moved into business houses and they did the same thing. But a time is coming where creating a more inclusive way of generating wealth in the world is more important than amassing wealth and then distributing it. But at the same time, because so many segments of society are left behind, we're still in a transition point where philanthropy is very relevant to get those people out of those pits in which they are. Our activity has been largely focused towards concerns that are there in India of nourishment, health, education and ecology. About making this into a large-scale success, when we say education, we are active in over 4,000 and odd schools in southern India. Ecologically, we are the largest ecological movement in Asia right now, but all people-driven, not money-driven. This is very important because we don't gather funds and then do work. We inspire people to do work with whatever little money they have. We only define what they need to do in the local area and everybody starts doing according to their capability of doing. It is not necessary they have to contribute the money to us and then we will act, because this whole thing has such a huge overhead in gathering the money, hiring the staff and doing it. So this is why we are large-scale volunteer movements. Isha Foundation is run by 4,600, that is 4,600 full-time volunteers and over 9 million part-time volunteers across the world. To just give you a sample of what we did recently, last year in 2017, I launched a campaign called Rally for Rivers, because Indian rivers on average have depleted over 44% in the last 25 years. So many of them are in dire condition. So to raise awareness and to bring about a policy in the country towards reviving or revitalizing Indian rivers. In 30 days' time, I drove from southern India to the foothills of Himalayas and we gathered the support of 162 million people. It's more than Russia's population, okay? That many people participated in the event. In 30 days' time, I drove 9,300 kilometers personally myself and 142 events, 186 interviews to the media, and in print, we had over 4,600 print happening across the country. So why we did this was because democratic governments are there for 5 years. Ecological policies, if you do, they never yield results in 5 years. So no government is interested in taking up something which will take 20 years to show results. So we wanted to put people's pressure on the government, and with this we presented a policy document, a recommendation of 760 pages. Fortunately, nearly 80% of what we said should happen is already becoming policy, and the United Nations also accepted this, and because this is relevant for all the tropical nations, what we have presented. Why I'm talking about this is that this was entirely a people's movement, driven by inspiration, driven by a natural human nature. This idea that a human being is concerned about himself is true because of the way we cultured identities in this world. To just bring you back to ancient ways of doing things in the East, when we want to start education for a child, Always, in India, education started at 12, not 6, now compulsorily everybody is there at 6. 0 to 12 was focused towards making the body and the brain grow to its full size. And only then education, because education was seen as an empowerment. Before you empower an individual human being, it's very important you fix their identity. If you're identified with a nation or a race or a religion or a community, your mind functions only as to how to protect that. So first thing before starting the education was, a child has to take up a cosmic identity. A universal identity was insisted upon. A child should verbally say that my identity is universal. Only then he was empowered. This is what is missing in modern education, that there is no fixing of the identity. We are fixing small identities where we are using all our capabilities to work against each other. Because you belong to one nation, I belong to another nation, you belong to one race, I belong to another race. Endlessly this is going on because we have not handled this dimension of human mind, where identity is always that which determines how your intelligence functions. The moment you're identified with this, everything within you only tries to protect that. So bringing back this global identity, if not universal, is very important. As a part of this, Isha Foundation is seeing in the coming year, because the coming year is 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's birth, we are trying to promote a global anthem in all the schools across the world. Children should identify with at least the planet, not a small piece of the planet and think this is it. Because we are identified with this, now we must say, what you have gathered, please give it to somebody. But if you were identified with everything, this gathering attitude would not be there. We would have grown much faster, technologies would have exploded faster, wealth would have grown faster, everything would have happened faster because we would be working towards one goal. Right now, all of us are working against each other, whatever we call ourselves, nations, religions, races and castes and creeds.
Yagi Aziziev, you have emphasized, the cosmic identity, but if you look at what you have managed to do, you have 250 centers worldwide, you have 9 million people working for you as volunteers somehow, and you have done it since 1993. Today everybody likely uses words like crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, or platform. What you have, and one implies, or one has at the back of the mind, technology. You have done this entirely without technology. You have done this. What is the secret of your success?
Because the greatest technology available on this planet is the human mechanism. Everything else is just a small drop out of it. Right now we think a computer is a great thing. We must understand all tools that we created are only an addition to the faculties that we already carry. Now we have a microphone. Only because we can speak, we came up with a microphone. If we were made like trees, we wouldn't have come up with a microphone. We came up with a bicycle because we have mobility. Everything we have done is only an extension of our existing faculties. Somehow we're forgetting this. So what you call as technology are tools to extend our existing faculties to a greater level of function. Now, I'm using the greatest technology on the planet, which is the human mechanism.
Thank you very much. Again, I think many more questions we could ask. Would love to hear human mechanism, technology, and the cosmic identity as basis for your huge success to engage people in your…
Just to give you a small example, we noticed, it's in 1998, a UN organization came to India and made a prediction. We are in the southern state of India, the Tamil Nadu. They made a prediction that by 2025, 60% of Tamil Nadu will be a desert. I don't like predictions, so I drove around myself to see, is it really true? Then I thought, in my perception, I thought it won't go till 2025, it'll happen much sooner. So I came back and made a simple barefoot calculation, so many 1,000 square kilometers. So at that point, our green cover was only 16.5%. I said, national aspiration is 33%. So I called about 4,000 to 5,000 volunteers and I told them, see, we need to plant 114 million trees in the next 8 years. If we do this, in 15 to 20 years' time, we will have 33% green cover in this state. This is all we have to do to correct this. They rolled their eyeballs and said, Sadhguru, 114 million trees, do you know what that number is? Then I asked them, what's your population? They said 62 million. I said, see, if all of us plant one tree and take care of it for 2 years and plant one more, you got the number. Only thing is, you think a tree is some strange creature. You do not understand what you exhale, the trees are inhaling, what the trees are exhaling, you are inhaling every moment of your life. So I set up a simple process where people sit with eyes closed and I made them experience that actually what they're exhaling, the tree is inhaling, what tree is exhaling, you're inhaling, 1/2 of your lungs is out there. Now do you have to tell them? Now you can't stop them. Now we've planted only 33 million, not 114 million, but this has brought back 7.2%. The area has been covered with green cover in a matter of 14 years. I said 8 years, they took 14 years, but 7.2% increases happened simply because human beings experienced that this is a part of me, this is not something separate from me.
I promised the Swiss hand, but this is a beautiful example of an impact story made very simple, very easy to attach oneself to and put the individual's effort behind. Thank you for sharing this one. I would like to move